Good evening, friends. My name is Reverend Ruth Gallett. I'm the pastor of the Longmeadow Congregational Church, United Church of Christ in Auburn, New Hampshire. And I welcome you at this time of quiet contemplation as we pause in the midst that all is going on in our lives and in our world to remember the day of Jesus' crucifixion. I'm coming to you here on YouTube because we are in a time of physical distancing. As our world works together to find a way through this pandemic, we are isolating ourselves and we are staying in our homes in order to love and protect each other. When many people have carried worries and grief for loved ones who are sick or who have lost their jobs as a result of these times, we remain together in our spirits. Our minds and our spirits have experienced great turmoil. And so this evening I invite you to join with me as we attempt to settle our minds and our hearts and our spirits and walk through these last moments with Jesus. We call this service Tenebrae, which means darkness or shadows. It is a service that has been practiced in the church since medieval times. It was originally a service for monks, but later became an important part of worship for the common folk during Holy Week. And so by participating tonight, we join Christians throughout the centuries, throughout the world, in using the liturgy of Tenebrae. Let us now approach God together. Grace to you and peace from our Father and our Lord Jesus Christ. Blessed be the name of the Lord our God, who redeems us from sin and death. For us and for our salvation, Christ became obedient to death, even death on a cross. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Will you pray with me now? Precious Lord, who willingly walked through the valley of the shadow for us, we come in the darkness of this evening, praying that you will lend us your light to illuminate the path before us. Without you by our side, we would never have the strength or courage to walk this road. But you are always a lamp unto our feet and a light to our path. And so we dare now to walk with you through this night. May we be faithful in our walk. Amen. Hear now the shadow of betrayal. Reading from Matthew 26, verses 20 to 25. When it was evening, he took his place with the 12. And while they were eating, he said, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." And they became greatly distressed and began to say to him one after the other, "Surely not I, Lord." He answered, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man goes as it is written of him, but woe to that one by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would be better for that one not to have been born." Judas, who betrayed him, said, "Surely not I, Lord." He replied, "You have said so." Hear now the shadow of the agony of spirit and arrest. Reading from Matthew 26, 36 to 50. Then Jesus went to him to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be grieved and agitated. Then he said to them, "I am deeply grieved even to death. Remain here and stay awake with me." And going a little further, he threw himself on the ground and prayed, "My Father, If it is possible, let this cup pass from me, but not what I want, but what you want." Then he came to his disciples and found them sleeping, and he said to Peter, "So could you not stay awake with me 1 hour? Stay awake and pray that you may not come to the time of trouble. The spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak." Again he went away for the second time and prayed, "My Father, if this cannot pass until I drink it, your will be done." Again he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were heavy. So leaving them again, he went away and prayed a third time, saying the same words. Then he came to the disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? See, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand." While they were speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd with swords and clubs, from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying, "The one I will kiss is the man. Arrest him." At once he came up to Jesus and said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and he kissed him. And Jesus said to him, "Friend, do what you are here to do." And they came and laid hands on Jesus and arrested him. Hear now the shadow of denial. Matthew 26, 69 to 75. Now Peter was sitting outside in a courtyard. A servant girl came to him and said, "You also were with Jesus the Galilean." But he denied it before all of them, saying, "I do not know what you are talking about." When he went out to the porch, another servant girl saw him, and she said to the bystanders, This man was with Jesus of Nazareth." Again he denied it with an oath, "I do not know the man." After a little while, the bystanders came up and said to Peter, "Certainly, you are also one of them, for your accent betrays you." Then he began to curse, and he swore an oath, "I do not know the man." At that moment, the cock crowed. Then Peter remembered what Jesus had said, "Before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times." And he went out and wept bitterly. Hear now the shadow of accusation. Matthew 27, 11 to 14 and 20 to 29. Now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And Jesus said, "You say so." But when he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he did not answer. Then Pilate said to him, "Do you not hear how many accusations they make against you?" But he gave him no answer, not even a single charge, so that the governor was greatly amazed. Now the chief priests and elders persuaded the crowds to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus killed. The governor again said to them, "Which of the 2 do you want me to release to you?" And they said, "Barabbas." Pilate said to them, "Then what should I do with Jesus, who is called the Messiah?" And all of them said, "Let him be crucified." Then he asked, "Why? What evil has he done?" But they shouted all the more, "Let him be crucified." So when Pilate saw that he could do nothing, but rather that a riot was beginning, he took some water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, "I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves." Then the people as a whole answered, "His blood be on us and on our children." So he released Barabbas for them, and after flogging Jesus, he handed him over to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the governor's headquarters, and they gathered the whole cohort around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and after twisting some thorns into a crown, they put it on his head. And they put a reed in his right hand and knelt before him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews." Here now the shadow of crucifixion and humiliation. Matthew 27, 31 to 43. After mocking him, they stripped him of the robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to crucify him. As they went out, they came upon a man from Cyrene named Simon. They compelled this man to carry his cross. And when they came to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull, they offered him wine to drink, mixed with gall, but when he tasted it, he would not drink it. And when they had crucified him, they divided his clothes among themselves, casting lots. And then they sat down there and kept watch over him. Over his head they put the charge against him, which read, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." Then 2 bandits were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by derided him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." In the same way, the chief priests also, along with the scribes and elders, were mocking him, saying, "He saved others. He cannot save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down from the cross now, and we will believe him. He trusts in God. Let God deliver him now, if he wants to, for he has said, 'I am God's son.'" Hear now of the shadow of death. Matthew 27, verses 45 to 54. From noon on, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. And about 3 o'clock Jesus cried with a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani," which is, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of the bystanders heard it, they said, "This man is calling for Elijah." At once, one of them ran and got a sponge and filled it with sour wine and put it on a stick and gave it to him to drink. But the others said, "Wait, let's see whether Elijah will come to save him." Then Jesus cried again, and with a loud voice, he breathed his last. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, and the rocks were split, and the tombs also were open. And many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. After his resurrection, they came out of the tombs and entered the holy city and appeared to many. Now when the centurion and those with him who were keeping watch over Jesus saw the earthquake and what took place, they were terrified and said, "Truly, this man was God's son." Hear now the shadow of burial. Matthew 27, 57 to 60. When it was evening, there was a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who was also a disciple of Jesus. He went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then Pilate ordered it to be given to him. So Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in the tomb, his own tomb, which he had hewn in the rock. He then rolled a great stone to the door of the tomb, and he went away. In this time of physical distancing and isolation, many of us have experienced feelings of frustration at not being able to do anything to fix the situation for ourselves or for our families. And this internal struggle is very understandable. However, I just want to say that I believe we are not called in this moment to do anything, rather to simply be. I invite you to join with me in these days when we remember Christ's time in the tomb. To also remember that during this time, Jesus didn't do anything. No healings, no feedings, no teaching. He didn't do anything. And yet in and through this time, he brought about our salvation. And so throughout this weekend, as we await the dawn of Easter, I invite you to join with me in a prayer that has always brought me a sense of peace. It contains the words of Psalm 46, verse 10, "Be still and know that I am God." That is the only prayer we need in these hours until Easter. Be still and know that I am God. That's it. It's that simple. I will simply take that line and repeat it, dropping one word with each line until the dawn of Easter morning. Will you join with me in the hours between now and the dawn of Easter to pause throughout your day at times and to raise these words as a prayer? Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know. Be still. Be. My friends, may your heart be stilled and may your spirit be comforted through these dark hours until we come back together again on Easter morning. Go in peace, my friends, and we will return in joy. Farewell.